Okay, welcome to section 2 of Truth Concepts for Living a Successful Life. We are going to jump right in. And if you haven't had a chance to take the first part of this course, this is a 12-part course, and each section really builds on each other, so it would be a good idea for you to go back and review that course. So the key concepts here, this section is all about God and who we are and what powers we possess relative to God or the divine. So what is God? And we could have a course, we can have volumes of courses on what God is. Some people think that it's not possible for us to define what God is, but I think we have a shot because we are divine in nature ourselves. So let's take a look and let's see. What is God? God is spirit, creative energy, love, wisdom, intelligence, power, omniscience, all knowledge, omnipotent, all power, omnipresent or omnipresence, present everywhere. Everything that is good in its absolute perfection and complete form is God. Everything that is real in that absolute sense is God. God is both principle, that is impersonal or substance, cause of all physical and earthly manifestation, and personal, loving, spiritual father, mother. So impersonal and personal. I add to this that God is the only thing there is. Nothing exists outside of God. So anything that is real or exists, by definition, is God. And anything outside of that, anything outside of all that is good, is not of God. So this gets us right into a tricky area here, because God, another way to define God is, we say here absolute perfection. God is without change. God is immutable. God is without end. So anything that corrodes or decays or can be dismantled or dies is not of God. So what does that say about this physical world we live in? Everything can be destroyed. All beings will suffer a physical death. So what does that say? That has to point us in the direction of this world not being real. What does that mean? It means that it is some kind of a construction in our own minds, in our lower minds, which in and of themselves are not real. It's like a dreamlike state. This is very hard to digest because as I sit here, I'm leaning on my desk. I'm sitting in a chair that supports me. They all feel very real. How can you tell me they're not real? Well, again, if we can just separate, they're not real in the absolute state. They're not of God. God does not live in them, because if God lived in them, they could not be destroyed. They could not be changed. They could not alter state. Right? Water to ice. It couldn't happen like that. So it's something that we are going to talk much more about as we move on, and it's really a higher concept for this course being a level 1 course, but at any rate, we're going to try it. What are we? So again, man, woman is the highest manifestation of energy, the fullest and most complete expression of the divine. I like to use the analogy of the wave in the ocean. The wave, in terms of order of magnitude, might not be the same size as the ocean, but it certainly has the same composition. It's made of the same substance. And there's no part of it that's made of something different, right? It's 100% ocean in that one wave. So that's kind of like who we are. We're the offspring, or we're a subcomponent of that greater whole. So access to God, we all have direct access to the God within, and that's not within the body. Again, God can't live in something that can be altered. The whole of life, love, wisdom, and power within us at all times, right? So we have direct access to that. We are that. There's no time that we don't have access to that, have it at our disposal. We might not think so, and therefore it will appear to us as if we don't have access, or we don't have the ability to tap into our divine self. That's not true. Absolutely not true. And continued on the next slide, our power. We are far more powerful than we consciously realize, or act, for that matter. We have at our disposal divine abilities to ensure success in life, in all areas of life, regardless of the transient appearances of the day, of the hour. Our life's journey is to come to understand how to draw that quality, those abilities out in ourselves. And how do we learn that? Well, we go back to lesson 1. We talked about the vehicles for getting to know God or divine essence. We talked about prayer and meditation. It is through those tools and a disciplined spiritual practice that we will be able to understand who God is, who we are, and how to draw out that power and make use of it. And that power translates into universal law. And we'll talk much more about that as we go on. So if we had to give a high-level summary for week 2, it would be God is the ultimate supreme entity, all-powerful, all-knowing, and present everywhere. We are made in God's image and likeness with the faculties in us to ensure a successful, joyful, and useful life at all times. That sums up what we did. And of course, each week we'll have a visual of some sort. And this week it's about God, us, and action. So starting on the left-hand side of the page, God. God is all there is, all-knowing, all-powerful, everywhere present. Again, there is no place that is real that God is not. There may be a dreamlike state where God is not, but there is no place that God is not in the actual ultimate reality of things. So too, us, we are made of God. We are never without God. We are never separate from God. We have access to all divine abilities, and we are able to access divine energy. We are that. We are that divine energy. There's no place that does not exist. We are part of that. All of us. And then action. To the extent that we can draw this out, right? Because we make a choice whether to buy into the dream of the physical reality or to rise up higher. It's not that it's above us, but it's a phrase that is used to rise up into the higher levels of energy and consciousness, to come from our higher self. And then, oh my goodness, what a difference it made. When Jesus the master teacher taught that all the things he did, we can do too. Those quote unquote miracles are not miracles. There's somebody who was completely advanced, a master teacher, knowing how to tap into universal law and divine energy. We all have that. That's what he came to teach us. That was the gift that he gave. That's how he saves us. He teaches us that we are incredible spiritual beings. So moving back to actions, we can set and meet our goals, more joy, more happiness, prosperity, to know God's will, better relationships, to become more of who we really are in the ultimate sense, divine. And then at the bottom, we can solve our own problems. Of course, we tap into, or we access, we turn towards the realm of divine ideas. All ideas live there, which is why every morning when I meditate, at this point, after doing it 25, 30 years, I start to get insights to things. I have to write them down. Sometimes I can't write them down quickly enough because I'm in the realm. I'm well practiced in the realm of divine ideas. That's where I'm at. So there's a lot to consume in this section. There's a lot to review. Again, I ask you to step back, review it. Hopefully you took some notes and you can see how this fits with where you are in your own spiritual evolution.